And here we have him, Mr. Jarrad Waite. How are you, mate? How's things?
How are you, mate? Going well?
Mate, thanks for joining
No worries.
us on this episode 30. Do you believe it's episode 30?
Doing well, boys. You're doing well.
I love it. So what we do is we get the best of the 30s and come on.
Yeah.
I know, this has to be you, mate. Doesn't
surely
it?
not.
It
Surely
has
not.
to be you. All right, I'm going to tell you some stats here.
Yeah.
244 games. 184 were for Carl. We'll talk about that later, mate. 377 goals. You love the goal, huh?
Yeah.
You definitely love the goal. All right. And you are the record holder for Carl. You are
The number?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, number 30, the record
Got the
holder.
old boy?
Yeah, you got the old boy. Well, we'll talk about the son of the great Ben Waite. He was a 70 and 72 premiership player, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
All right, tell me, how is it being the son of a famous football player and then growing up and playing like footy?
Yeah, it was obviously when I initially got to Carlton, it was very exciting. His number was on the locker. They used to have all the old photos up, so he was there. When I was younger, I didn't really probably realise sort of the career that he had. To me he was just dad. So,
of course.
But then it was probably once I got older and then obviously once he passed away, sort of cherished it a hell of a lot more. But yeah, loved. Obviously, when I got to the club, I was pretty keen to try and get the number 30, and so yeah, it sort of all worked out. But yeah, no, it was definitely something that we've both been proud of. Early days, I was
100% he would have been stoked, man.
Yeah, I hope so. So yeah,
I reckon he was, man.
After I played my obviously first game, my goal after that was obviously to play some good footy, but to get the name on the locker. So that was a really proud moment for me and the family. So yeah, it's really nice to have
I don't
both
have to
of the son
ask.
there.
You always can't support, right?
I sort of when I was growing up, I sort of rebelled a little bit. A couple of cousins went for Essendon, so I sort of went for Essendon, and then once I sort of got 14, 15, I just love watching footy. But but obviously now I love my time at Carlton, and it's probably where we barrack for now, and I had a really good time at North, but my sort of roots lie within Carlton. So yeah, I love like I said, it's probably where I knew I'd always come back to Carlton, and all the kids and that go for Carlton. So yeah,
of course,
it's
you're doing a good dad thing, mate. This is what we need, mate. We need
Correct.
as many people out there. I love it. I can't believe Essendon. Anyway. So you get recruited. Selection for, were you father-son?
Father-son, yeah.
At 46.
46,
They didn't think too much.
Well, back in the day, it was a third round draft pick. That was it, I think.
Oh, was it?
I think Gary Ablett Jr. went around the same too. There was no. Now it's all about the compensation and so. I still claim that I would have gone top 10.
But that's what I'm thinking, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking, man.
I probably wouldn't have got drafted, but yeah, obviously, so I knew I think it was about a week before the draft that I knew Carlton were going to take me. So,
was it anyone else talk to you?
Oh, I had a couple of letters, I think, from West Coast and someone else, but no, it was never a sort of any other option for myself.
Which was good for us, man. Good for us. You played your first game, so you get drafted in 01, but you don't play for a whole year.
Nice stat. I was the only bloke on the list in 2002 not to play. We finished, I think we won the Spoon that year, so they can't blame me for that one. That was the first one we'd won.
That'll teach you.
Yeah, well, we probably had a couple after that, but anyway, so I wasn't ready to play. I was a chance to sort of play around 22, but I didn't get selected, but it was probably a really good thing because it put probably that fire in my belly, and sort of went away and probably had a couple of weeks off, and then started hitting up the gym. I knew that I was light, so I had to put on a couple of kilos. I think I trained with Brett Thornton pretty much every day at a local gym in Brunswick, Doherty's, and I think chucked on about 10 kilos.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I needed to do. I was a really light kid when I first got down here, and I just would have been absolutely murdered if I had played, and had a really good pre-season. Dennis came along and he embraced me as a player, and so and I was
So Dennis,
lucky enough.
Dennis came along. I'm going to get these stats. What year did Dennis come?
2003 was his first year.
Oh, the first year. So 2002, we had
Wayne Britton.
Wayne Britton.
Yeah,
all
sorry.
right.
And then
Dennis. Dennis come along. So Dennis is a big name.
Yeah.
How was that? Like, you get Dennis. Were you excited? Were you scared?
Well, I was 19, turning 20 at the time, and I didn't know what was going on.
You had a bit of shit going on that year, didn't
but
we?
yes, but mate, he was really good for me. He gave me an opportunity, sort of, let me play my own game. He'd try and help out where he was, but I think that for me personally, Dennis was a really influential part of my career and gave me a lot of confidence to attack the ball and use my strengths. And from a young kid from Benalla coming to do that and having such a brilliant coach like Dennis, it was just, like I said, it was a really good for me as a player to sort of get those confidence, and gave us opportunity. He let us play. If we had a couple of bad games, we weren't worried about getting dropped, and so that was what I loved about him. And
I think that's important, isn't it?
And it was was it the right decision at the time, but he was a really good coach, and personally, like I said, I can't thank him enough for
and look, he had a bit of he's coming in, and what I remember, and we had a couple of number 1 and number 2 about to come in, and that all went to shit. So all of a sudden, everything had to be changed. We were getting players from everywhere, weren't we?
And I think we had that salary cap breach, and we sort of lost a couple of draft picks in 2003, but we got some good players out of it. We got Kate Simpson, who obviously has been an absolute gun for us.
He was a good pickup.
Brad Fisher was a really good player for us. So
99 games.
99. We got Teague. So Teague won the BNF. So I know we say that, but it would have been good to have a player like.
We got
Scotto from the Woods. So it would have been nice to have a player like Daniel Wells or Brendan Goddard. But these things happen, and you don't know what could have happened. But obviously, we sort of had a few of the old ex-players that sort of came over. So
actually not a bad year, but then.
No, I think we went all right in 2003. It's a long time ago, mate.
It was a bad year. Trust me. All right, since it was a long time, do you remember your first game?
I do remember the first game. It was against Sydney.
Yep, it was.
At the up at I don't even know what it's called now. Not
whatever, like the
Olympic
Sydney
Stadium.
And
I think when I first got drafted, Wayne Britton was the coach, and he goes to me, "You haven't played a game for Carlton unless you've come off with the blood rule." So anyway, get my opportunity, go off, I get whacked, split open. I'm like, yes, got my shot. I finally played a game, and it was in my first game. So we got pumped. But mum, dad, the family came up. It was, you speak to any player, well, I think so, that hasn't, that you remember your first game, and it's just, like I said, it's a dream, and like I said, I missed that the year before. I put a lot of time and effort into it, so it was a really good reward. But like I said, I don't remember. There's a few games that I have no recollection of, but that's one that will always stay with me.
You remember your first goal?
I actually not sure if it was. I didn't kick a goal in that one.
No.
I know Johnny McCormick kicked 2 goals with his first 2 kicks in that game.
Yeah.
I reckon it was the next game against Essendon.
Collingwood,
or Essendon. So
goal.
I think it was a snap. But
that would have been exciting.
Yeah, it was.
Getting your first game, then getting that goal, it's only about it.
And I think in my second game we played Collingwood at the MCG in front of 80,000 people. You just don't. The first time that you run out onto the G with a full crowd, it's just mind blowing, the sound and how it all sort of echoes, and it's the one thing that you miss as a player is that the adrenaline of running out in front of that many people.
Man, listen, as just fans, man, we can't understand running out and everyone cheering for you. And
it's brilliant.
The buzz, man. We'll talk about some of the big games that happened.
Yeah.
I got here, I don't know why I read this. I said Thornton kicked his first goal. I don't know if he kicked his first goal that game, but it says 5 years before he kicked the next one.
Yeah, probably.
He got chucked. I reckon I remember it. He was pretty excited about that second one, I reckon.
Brett Thornton loved the goal more than any other player ever to play for that footy club. When he first got drafted, he actually got drafted as a forward.
Oh yeah.
He was rookie listed, sorry. And so they chucked him down back. He started. That was Dennis's game plan. He used to say, "You got to play on the gorillas." So
Yeah.
So that was his kind of go. So he played a lot down back, but even at training, if he was kicking goals, he'd celebrate. Didn't matter if we were having a kick on a Tuesday when there was no one out there. He'd kick a goal and he'd celebrate. So, but yeah, he loved the goal, the big T-bird.
I love it. Hey, listen, let's just bring it down a notch, all right?
Yeah.
So later on that year, something tragic happened, and the old man passed away. Yeah. So and then you insisted, and you played the next week, which I think.
No, the next day. 2 days
Was it the next day?
Yeah. So
yeah, it was.
I recalled getting a phone call late on we were playing a Sunday game. It was against Melbourne, and I recall getting a phone call from one of my sisters saying that Dad had passed away. And
now just quietly, because my dad kind of passed away a few years back, and it was a bit of a shock. Was it a shock? Or?
Oh, massive shock. I'd spoken to him during the week. He was coming down to watch the game, and Dad came to every game, so he was kind of like, I just knew, so our sort of thing was, obviously the year before when I wasn't playing, I was playing the VFL, he wouldn't come and speak to me before the game, but at quarter time he'd just come and say g'day and just give him a nod. So, that was kind of our thing. And to get a phone call saying that, from his sister who's bawling her eyes out saying that your dad passed away, I just remember we were living in Reservoir at the time, and I just remember I was just in shock. I knew what she was saying, but I just remember sitting on my bed going, what does this mean? So then, I went over. My sister was living in Hoppers Crossing at the time, so I jumped in a car, just left the house. So I was living with a couple of mates at the time, so just sort of took off, and then so anyway, sort of went there and then came back, and I don't know if it was a Thursday or Friday, it's a bit vague to me, but then I remember going to the VFL because I was just like, I have to, I can't just, I don't know, you're just in shock, so you sort of just go about your daily business, it's not. And then anyway, rocked up to the game, and then the VFL game just to watch, and then I think it was Port Melbourne, and sort of wind had started sort of getting around that he passed away, and and then the club was amazing. The club were when I sort of spoke to them, they were like, listen mate, do what you want, understand, you've got until the last minute, if you don't want to play, if you want to play, go for it. And I just remember knowing that I wasn't not going to play, they would have, I would have had a broken leg not to play. So
and I think your dad would have wanted it.
Yeah, and
it's just
you just love footy, and that was, that's your outlet for and you just I've grown up my whole life playing footy, and and I just felt like compelled to play, and so obviously we played, kicked the goal. That's
it. I've got that here, that you did kick this goal and you screamed down the centre and you kicked the goal, and there was a wave of emotion by everybody. I mean, I'm sure there was a wave of emotion within you guys, but in the crowd, we were pumped. We felt we were so wrapped for you.
It was a good goal too, so I was quite happy with it. Just outside of 50, so I didn't do too many of them, but
it was a good goal.
But it's just it's fitting. But we ended up losing that game, and I remember being in the last quarter, being starting to get pretty emotional, and I was on my haunches. And what I probably get from, obviously my family was so good, but the Carlton boys, everyone was just really respectful. Not that they weren't coming up feeling sorry for or anything, but you knew that they cared. And I remember being on my haunches, and Andrew McKay came over and just gave me a tap on the back. And it's just stuff like that you don't remember, and it was so and if I hadn't have played that game, it's something you wouldn't regret. And and it's just would have been nice to win, would have been a nice fairy tale, but unfortunately life's not like that.
No,
so
that's it.
and so it was just but it wasn't probably until a few months later that it sort of impacts on you, and most people go to work to get away from all your personal stuff, where like you're literally rolling in, you see your dad's name on the locker every single day. So it's a constant reminder. So
that's
you know,
so true, man.
And I never spoke about it too. Obviously, 20-year-old boy, like I'm not going to tell people. So I ended up, you know,
and those days there, like that wasn't really, you know, speak about your emotions.
And, you know, you end up, you know, I ended up, you know, not like messing up a bit, going on the drink a bit too much, you know, because you're 20, you don't know what's going on. Like you're still a boy, and especially me, mate. I was a really late developer, and so but yeah, obviously really tough, and it took me a long time. I reckon it was 2 or 3 years after when I'd speak about it. Like I still get emotional, but it was almost to the point where I'd almost start crying, and because I just never like. It's just something you don't, and as you know, like if you've lost a family member really sudden at a young age, you know, it's a really like it's really hard to get over, and you know, but obviously like I now like as a dad, I miss that my grandkids, you know, don't get to sort of meet him and stuff like that. I try and explain how much like he meant to me and stuff like that, but. You can never put into justice. Like we've obviously got photos. I've shown them videos of you know playing in grand finals and stuff like that. So you know you do your best, but it's not the same. And that's what I sort of as everyone does. That's what you miss the most. But
100%, man. I totally understand, man. Like as I said, it happened to me, so I totally understand, man. And look, first of all, I appreciate you talking about that, man. That's really good insight into stuff. Yeah. All right, let's talk a bit about some footy. All right, in 03, you narrowly missed the wooden spoon, and then that's when you get penalised, and you get Dennis coach, and then after that you go up to the forward line and you start enjoying some good time in the forward line. After that, you start kicking some goals, and you start developing as a player, man. We start seeing the real Jarrad Waite.
Yeah. Well, obviously, when you got Fev down there, it definitely helps the situation. So. You know, Fev was such an important player to our team, you know, so every now and then you could get off the leash and you know, try and kick a couple of goals. But
you had Fev, you had Fisher at the time.
We had Fish, we had Hoops, we had Whitnall. And I think, I'm not sure if Eddie was there in 03 or 04, so we had Eddie floating around a couple of years.
Yeah.
So we had
that was a good forward line. You would have had some fun.
We definitely had some fun. A few years later, when we had like Jeffy and Yaz as well. And I like, as probably the supporters know, like we probably missed our opportunity a couple of those years. We probably just, you know, it didn't all click, and we sort of had at one stage we sort of had a really potent forward line. We had a really like decent back line, and obviously a midfielder with Cruiser, Gibbs, and that. So we probably missed our opportunity. I think we had a few injuries, and you know, but that's not excuses. But yeah, obviously got to play a bit of footy. Played 20 in that first year. Missed a couple through a cheeky indiscretion.
You had a few. You had a
couple.
But you played on the edge, man.
Well, I think that's for me. You know, obviously, I think in 2010 I probably lost my cool a little bit too much. But like I said, the same thing. Like I was 24 at the time. 25 or 26.
Yeah.
You know, I'd just come back from a knee reconstruction. The body wasn't where it was at, and I was really frustrated. And you know, like I said before, like we don't talk about, you know, we don't have the counsellors that they do now. You know, we don't have the mindfulness and stuff like that. So, like for me, I was just angry, and I'm angry anyway. And I've got that white line fever anyway. So you know, when that comes out in the wrong way, you do stupid stuff. The only issue, the difference between that and now is now they just fine you, where before that you'd have carryover points. So you know, I'd do something cheeky one week, not get a week,
get 97.
And then they could drop down to 75 to take the early plea. You bump someone a little bit high, or you know, give a little cheeky headbutt. Then you're done. So that was the thing that sort of, you know, and I was frustrated, and you know, I know the Carltonians were happy because I could go to a few of their functions, but they were frustrated too.
That's it. I love it.
But you know, like, it's just what you don't know, and obviously.
I agree, man. Like, you played on the edge. We loved it, man. That's the way we are.
Well, that's how I had to play. Like, if I went into a game, you know, not, you know, finding that white line, I wouldn't play well. And you know, that's what I worked out as a player. You know, did I get reported a couple of times too many that I would have liked? Yeah, obviously, but for me, like, if I wasn't hard-nosed and, you know, had that fire in the belly, I wouldn't have played half as many games as I did. And, you know, it's like when you watch someone, you know, like a Toby Green, like, yeah, he does some stupid stuff, but, like, what he can do in the space of a quarter, he can turn a game like that, and, you know, he gets a lot of criticism for that, but, like,
we love
you need that. You can't have all
love Toby Green.
Yeah, and, you know, like, there's a lot of players out there that never put a foot wrong, and you need them, but you also need the ones that are a bit rat baggy, you know, the ones that get in a bit of strife.
Of course.
And so
you had Feb. Feb got a bit of strife.
He wasn't too bad on field, he was more off field, but he's doing well for himself.
Yeah, no, he's doing well, man. He's doing well. He did a promo for us. He's a good man.
Yeah.
He's a good
Great
man.
fella.
Hey, listen, you play your first final in 2010. You picked up some players by then.
Yeah.
Judd come down, didn't he, by then?
Yeah.
So Judd was there. You play your first final against Sydney.
Yep.
And you just lose.
I don't think I played that one.
Did you?
I think my first...
Oh, tell me your first final then.
I think it was the Richmond game, wasn't it?
The elimination?
So I was injured. So they played... When did they play? Who did they play?
So you played Sydney?
They won. They lost again. Yeah, Brisbane 09. Brisbane 09 I didn't play because I was up there.
And you played Sydney, I reckon.
Yeah, maybe I did play Sydney.
Yeah, but you missed out on the Brisbane.
Yeah.
We could have won if you played against Brisbane.
I would have.
Remember?
Definitely
we were like 24 points up.
I definitely would have won.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, so I had that was my knee reconstruction year, 2009. Right. And yeah, so Sydney, I think we got beaten, and then
we had Essendon, we had the big final against Essendon.
Was that Essendon or Richmond? I can't remember. I don't think we played Essendon in the final.
Yes, we did, and we smashed them.
Oh, that's right, 2011. I didn't play that one.
They didn't play that one.
And then they went over to West Coast and played over there.
We just lost there.
And we lost. So I was.
And we had actually you were out.
Yeah.
Gibbs, Cruiser.
Yeah. So I remember. So that.
Between the both of us, we'll remember something.
Yeah, I know. I only remember the games I played. That's why I've got no recollection of that. But the only reason why I remember the West Coast game is because I had like OP and I needed surgery on my hips and it was completely cooked. And so anyway, the VFL were playing that day and they were kind of like, well, if we beat Richmond, we're playing. Or if we beat West Coast, we're playing in a prelim. You need to be right. And they go, mate, I can't walk. And
really?
Like,
so that's what they were saying?
So, anyway, I went and saw the surgeon, and the surgeon's like, listen, mate, you're done. Like, you're going to have surgery. So you can't do any more damage, so you might as well give it a crack. So I ended up playing that VFL game, sort of got through a half, sort of like was cooked, and then, anyway, so went home, watched the game. They obviously lost, so I think I went to surgery like 2 days later after that. But
so you were ready to come next week, the week after?
I'm kind of glad that it didn't happen because I wasn't ready.
But would you play?
I would have 100%. Are you ever going to?
I love it.
But that's the thing. Like,
I love it.
People like probably don't understand. Like, you play injured. There's no.
Is there anyone who doesn't play injured? Like, there'll be a couple, but most people can have niggles.
Most people, like, by the time he gets around 22, 95% of your team has got, you know, either thumbs, ribs, shoulder that needs surgery, 100%. Knee that needs cleaning out. Like, you know, it's just. It's too brutal.
It's a gladiator sport, man.
So you're playing, and like that would have been my first final. So like, there's no way in hell you're going to say no. Like,
you're not going to miss it. No.
Which, you know, and I probably did that too much as well because, you know, there was times when I wasn't right, and which I learned later in my career, sort of like the back end of Carlton. I sort of was really stubborn on sort of playing if I wasn't 100% right, and then when I obviously went to North Melbourne, but. You don't know that as a 25, 26-year-old, you know, there's times
does it affect you, that game does it affect you like later on? Like,
well, it does, because if you play crap, you know, then you get the repercussions of, you know, people don't know what's going on with your body or my body. So like, you know, you play crap, you might not get a kick, you might not be able to hit a target because you can't feel your leg. And it's like, then you get peppered by, you know, supporters, media.
Then we come out and go, he's no good.
but that's part of it, and that's sort of what I mean. Like you think you're doing, and this is what I had to learn. You think you're doing the right thing by playing, but you're only hindering the team and yourself, because then
right.
you end up doing more damage.
Right.
You end up missing longer. Where like probably in that period where if I had just said no, I'm not right, I need 3 or 4 weeks. Then that might have been the difference of been playing, missing 10 games to missing, maybe those 3 and then being fit enough to play out the game.
Yeah.
But
I understand, man. You want to play footy.
Yeah, and like I said, hindsight's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like we can all say,
I
would have done this, I would have those goals.
My favourite saying is we're all generals after the battle.
And then, but that's just part of it. Yeah. So I think my first final was the Richmond one.
Well, the Richmond one's the big one, So first of all, we get Malthouse. So all of a sudden we lose. Well, we went from Radden to Malthouse.
Yeah.
To me, Radden, I watched Radden when I was a kid, man.
Yeah.
He was like a champion, then he's our coach, and he loved Carlton.
Yeah.
He loved Carlton.
Yeah.
And I don't think he had a bad year the year that they got rid of him.
No, so I think the year before we made the finals, and then the year after I think we didn't make finals, and that's the year that they sort of got rid of him. But
But we still won like 11 and 11.
Yeah, and I think we were coming hard. We were really, really fit towards the end of the year. And I personally, I think they pulled the trigger too early on it. I think we that second year the year that we didn't make finals, we were playing a much better brand of footy. We were the fittest. I remember our start of the games weren't great. We were like 3 or 4 goals down, 4 or 5 goals down, whatever. But last quarter we'd just start. Like we'd just be fitter than everyone. Like under Justin Cordy, we were just fit, match fit. So, so I've sort of said a number of times that I feel like they pulled the trigger too early on it.
You're not the only one.
Had to give him another chance, and see what happens. But like we said, these things happen, and.
Well, we all know, come on, Malthouse, let's be serious, he was already in the picture somewhere. I don't care what anyone says, I'm going to put it out there. He was in the picture somewhere. They kind of already made half an idea what was going to happen. So he comes along, And look, at the time, he was like almost at the top of his game,
Yeah, I think they won a premiership not long ago.
A couple of years
before.
Well, 10, wasn't it? 2010? Yeah, 2010.
So, obviously came with a really experienced coach, and I was very excited. He sort of played a brand that really suited me as a footballer. It was kind of like use your key forwards, and so I was pretty excited about that. Obviously that first year, sort of things were going all right. We were playing some good footy, and then after probably the first 1 or 2 years, it's sort of some things sort of happened.
It didn't happen, but you did play this final, right? Because there was this other team who cheated. I don't care what anyone says. They cheated, and then we make the 8, right?
Yeah.
And we play Richmond in one of the great finals, especially for the young people out there.
Yeah.
We've never seen anything like the old blokes like us. We remember your dad and all that, but it was one of the great finals. 30 points down.
Yeah.
Remember when Robinson, he punched that ball? Like, what's he thinking, mate? Remember when
I can't remember that.
So remember, he's like, where he's in the goal square, the Richmond goal square, and they ball it up, and he just jumps over the back and he punches it through the back, and then he's going like, what? I don't know.
I don't remember that.
But anyway, you're 30 down, and then you do this because you did it a few times a year, but you made this comeback, and you were part of that.
Yeah.
You were part of that because you kicked the goal, you kicked a few goals. I think you kicked 4.
3 or 4, maybe.
Yeah,
but I remember that. I remember like I said earlier, that the first initial when you play the MCG, the crowd's enormous, but that's the loudest crowd at the MCG that I've ever heard. They had their bongos going, because that was the first time that they'd made finals in a long, long time, and then obviously we finished 9th. It happens with the Essendon, so we sort of get people call it a free whack, but it wasn't a free whack because everyone's like, oh, you got nothing to lose. Well, you do. You got a game to lose. So I don't understand when people say, oh, you got nothing to lose. But I just remember it was deafening because it would have been like 85% Richmond, and I reckon because it was their home game, and it was sort of. And I can't really remember much of the game, but I just remember sort of at a point going, all right, like we're coming now.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like,
and it came quick. It was like at least 5 or 6 minutes.
And it was, you know, in that last sort of 5-10 minutes, it was bloody on for young and old. Like, it was, I think Vickery had a shot on goal, missed that. Then Big Ivan kicked this amazing, like,
dribbled it through, that's right.
And, you know, like, it was just, it was a bloody good game. And like, I've met a few Richmond players, people over the time, and it's the first game that they talk about is the Carlton Richmond.
One of the great finals, mate.
Juddy kicked that nice goal from the boundary with a nice assist from myself.
I was going to say they all say Juddy, but you did the assist there. You ran after.
That's what I say. I do tell that to people. You know, Juddy would never have got it if I hadn't been there.
100%. And he kicks the goal.
Yeah, but that was amazing.
Great,
that was that was just one of those games that you know, I don't remember like the full game, but I just remember parts of it and the crowd and
mate, and I'm sure you would have had a good time that night there.
I think we were pretty tame that night. I think, you know, obviously I think we went up to Sydney the next week. Yeah. But yeah, so you know, when you're playing finals, you know, you're there for you're not there for that one win. You know, you celebrate the win. You know, you talk about it, but
you got the big picture.
Yeah, you got the big picture there, and you know, we knew that we were going to have to fight with Sydney. Yeah. And play at Olympic Stadium. Yeah. So yeah, it was. We obviously. Good experience. Yeah, it was a great experience. We obviously lost that one, but we had our opportunities in that one too.
100%, man. That was close too, man. We were almost there. Anyway, then after that, we'll talk about this. Why did you leave? Tell us the truth. Come on, mate. No, we never wanted to leave.
I didn't want to leave either.
I know you didn't. I know you didn't.
So what people probably don't understand is that I wanted the 2-year deal. So that was my, you know, 100%. Because I saw some writing on the wall that, you know, things weren't going well. And I also knew that I was in the later part of my career. So for me, looking at it, you know, I wanted that security because, like, even when Dennis came along, like, you look what happened. Look who the first players to go were the older players. Yep. Get out all your older players, and you bring in a new crop, which is, you know, like I said to you before, like for me, when I got to Dennis, it was brilliant. But talk to a couple of the older boys, they probably think the complete, you know, opposite. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of like and similar. So I said, and you know, I wasn't asking for a 4 or 5 year deal. I just said I want a guaranteed 2-year deal. Yeah.
They were offering you one, correct?
And they were offering me a one with a clause of like if you play 15 games in the second year. And I was like, well, personally, I was like, I don't think he's going to be there in that second year. Yeah. And I didn't want a new coach coming in going, see ya.
Yeah, like, that's right.
Because I wasn't in, what felt for me was I wasn't in their future. You know what I mean? So, and I was like, well, I've still got a lot to give. I had a lot of injuries. You know, I was working really hard on my body and, you know, trying to get myself right. And, you know, like, it's just one of those things. And I said to him, and, you know, I said, if you give me a 2-year deal, I'll stay. Like, and I wasn't asking for much money. I was asking for baseline, like base payment, and then
just the security of the 2 years.
Yeah, just the 2 years, and they couldn't give it to me, and so I searched the other way, and you know, and what people don't understand, like, that broke my heart. Like, you know, like, it's
your dad
talking about my dad, you know, and like, you know, and I ended up like wearing my number 30, like, because that's how I think that's sort of my number. And you know, it was a bad period for a number of players. You know, like, I honestly think that Mick wasn't the right coach for us at that time. We had, you know, what people don't understand.
He was a good coach, but he wasn't the right
coach. When he was at Collingwood, he had that team for 10 years. Yep. So he gets his own players in. They play. He molds his own players. Where I felt like when he came to us, he tried to mold us into a team that we weren't. You know, like, did we have a Travis Cloak that, you know, that could kick it 70 metres? Well, he actually did leave that. but you know what I mean? Like, we didn't have that team. We had a fast, nimble team. We had Jarrad, we had Murph, we had Gibbsy, you know, we had Cruiser, like, and then we had like Jeffy, like, that's, you know, that was, and that's what I felt was really good about Rats. He played to our strengths, where I think when Mick came in, he tried to change the way people played.
He tried to play at Collingwood, which wasn't Carlton,
which is not Carlton at the time, you know, like, and that's what I found like really hard is like, you know, you're trying to coach players to play a different way. Like, for me personally, like I'll go into later, but like when I got to North, you know, Brad Scott for me was amazing because, you know, he saw what my strengths were, and he's like, you do that, you know, we'll work on some of the other stuff, the game plan stuff, but he goes, but like, you know, you just need to run. Like, I look at Charlie Curnow, I think the same thing. Like, just let him play. Well, like, don't make him do X's and O's. Yeah. Just fucking let him play. Yeah. Like, you know.
Very similar to you.
Yeah,
correct.
Great number too.
That's
but
it.
You know what I mean. So that was what I found really hard. You know, and to leave a club that, you know, I'd been going to since I was 5 years old. You know, I remember going to the past players functions. I remember sitting in the heater stand with the family. Remember, you know, like meeting like Tommy Alva, Neil Hanna, like, and then meeting all the older players. So I'm going to the 72 reunion on Thursday, round 1. Yep. Because I've got a really good bond with all those older players. Yes. Because, you know, obviously I met them when I was younger. Yep. And then obviously my dad, you know, he didn't speak about footy all that much, but it was always like, you're coming with me, like, you've got to learn. And like, I love that. So I'm going to do the same for my kids, you know. Like, it's a part of our history. Like, you know, we talk 100%. About the Carlton history, it's a part of the Waite history. So, that's right, so it was, like I said, it was really heartbreaking, you know. Did it work out in my favour? Yeah, it did. Because, you know, like, I went to North, you know, as I said, I was working on my body, like, flat out, and then it sort of all came together when I got to North, you know, and managed to play some really
actually played good
footy, which like obviously frustrated Carlton supporters.
We were not. I couldn't believe
it. 4. Yeah, so I managed to play nearly 60 games at
not North. Nearly. You played 60 games and 125 goals. So you were kicking a couple a game. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you were playing good. And did you just play a final?
We played it. So we played Richmond.
That's right, you had a really
the same sort of scenario. Yeah. So we sort of came back and beat them, kicked 3 in that. And then we went up to Sydney, we beat Sydney. And then we went over to Perth and we were up, at quarter time, we were up by a couple of goals. I know this is obviously not Carlton related.
No.
And then I think like we shit ourselves, you know, and then we just went back into our shells, and then that's when they ended up coming over and winning. Yeah. They went to the grand final next week against Hawthorn, got absolutely spanked. So that, you know, as a footy club, we were really flat on that because North and Hawthorn would have been genuine, like
would have been a battle, game,
but you know, but
so it did work.
So it sort of worked out, and then managed to get a few games there, and then hung them up.
That's good, man. So anyway, listen, as Carlton supporters, man, we were spewing, man. We loved it. It was a wrong decision. I don't care what anyone says, but because it showed, man. You play like 60 games, man, and we definitely needed you at that time, man. We weren't travelling the best, man. Hey, tell me, I've spoken to a few players. Superstitions. Have you got any?
The only don't call it a superstition. Call it a ritual. Is it the same thing?
Well, no, it's superstition because if you don't do the ritual, you think you're going to play bad.
So I'd always like wait until the very last minute to put my jumper on. Okay. So I was never.
That's superstition.
Yeah, so that's superstition. Yeah. So that was my one. I'd always.
So that was the only one.
That was the only one. Right, like I didn't do the jock thing. You know, you have nice comfy boots, but like that's about it. But like I've never put the left. Like, you know, I'm not the Ed Curnow who takes all his clothes off except for his socks. So
there you go.
So you know, there's just
I like that.
That was my only one.
Is that just for footy you're talking about?
I don't know. I haven't seen him in his bedroom, but I think
I spoke to Hoops and he was mental with his. Yeah. He was just like nuts, man. Like something.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. It was just too much of a head stuff around. But that was something that, you know, like it was. I enjoyed doing it. But you know, like if we had to chuck our jumpers on early for some reason, I wasn't like, I can't play well. It was just something that I like doing, and So that I
think we've all got it, man. Trust me. Everyone's got superstitions out there in one way or another. You end up doing stuff, you know. Yeah. Hey, there was another big moment I remember. Was a boat cruise. You remember that boat cruise?
The infamous boat cruise.
Yeah, the infamous boat cruise.
Yeah.
How was that? That was a big day.
Oh, it was good while it lasted. didn't last very long. We got in a lot of trouble though. I remember,
mate, that was like all over the place. It was
the next day or a couple of days after, or it might have even been. I remember like they brought us into the club and Sticks. You know, Sticks.
Opposite was president.
Yeah. So Sticks is you know, loves a good time. Don't get me wrong. Like, you know, one of the lads from way back, he gave us one of the almightiest cooks, and we were all sitting there, like, you know, sitting in the auditorium, and like we've all just slouched back into our seats, and it's like, yeah, we might have gone a bit far here.
Well, you're all like down in your seat.
Oh yeah, like no one was sitting over this chair in front of him. So, you know, but like, what I'll say is, like, you know, we started pre-season at the start of November. There was a ban on drinking.
No drinking.
So you got 8 weeks of full-on training, really hard training. So that was under Dennis at the time. So Dennis, like, smashed us. Like, you know, we were doing double parks. We were doing massive sessions. Get to the end of Christmas, like, get to that Christmas breakup, we are fit as a fizzle. Like, you know, none of us have drunk beer. So, like, you know, literally, anyone that's been really, like, fit knows, and you know, you're a bit better now, but you got to be a bit drunk. Like, you got to be drink fit, you know.
Right,
and
that's right.
So, like, get excited. All right, boys, we'll go on the cruise. Can't stuff up on the cruise.
That's it.
Well,
You're away from
an hour, like 3 hours later, I was being sort of kicked off that, you know. Levi was, you know,
poor Levi. He's a little boy.
Well, what we will say, like, you know, we rang his dad. We got him to come. You know, we wait. There was about 3 or 4 of us that waited with him. Waited for his. Said, listen, we've got him drunk. He's spewing up. You know, like, we're here. We've given him water. Blah blah blah. We're looking after him, but, you know, like, you can't do that these days. You know, that was in that period. Way. That was in that period where football was changing. Yeah. So it was going from
the old
being
to
able to and, you know, we had a few older boys there, and, you know, just we didn't like it. You know, that was when, like, the behind the goals camera started coming in. So if you weren't chasing, you know about it.
Wow.
So there was a lot of things, but like I said, we were fit as. We got drunk. We messed up. Yeah. Nearly cost us a pretty big sponsorship.
Yeah, apparently,
So I think after
that would have been hammering you for that.
Yeah, well, they were. That was Stix's biggest thing. You know, if you've cost us, you know, and we weren't going well at the time. You know, that was one of his things. He goes, you're not in the position to carry on like superstars. Like, we're going shit. You know, we've just got a really good sponsor in Mars, and you've nearly pissed it up the wall. Yeah. So, but like I said, we looked after him. We called his parents, waited till they came. You know, we got him on his way. Yeah, we did the mates thing, as much as your mates are going to do in that scenario. But yeah, just probably put an end to the Christmas drinks, and then to the cruise. But oh, geez, it was a good day. It was a good day.
I can imagine, man. All the boys out there. What do you think about footy right at this moment? Like 2022, 2021, 22. Where's it going? Are we stuffed?
I don't think we're stuffed. Where I'm getting a bit frustrated with it is a contact sport.
Yeah.
Things happen. You know, we don't get me wrong. I think, obviously, personally, like, because I did a couple of times, we can't be bumping in the heads. You know, there's too much.
No, they've got to protect the head. Yeah.
Protect the head at all. You know, in that regard. But if someone's going up for two people are going up for a marking contest and they collide, like, there's not a free kick there. We are playing a contact sport. Things happen. We can try and protect the players as much as we can, but, you know, blokes are going to do ACLs. Blokes are going to do shoulders. You know, blokes are going to have head knocks. Like, it's the beast, and I think we're just trying to make it so protective that it's, you know,
it's a different game.
Like, even you look at the forward and back contest, like, they're both holding each other. Like, there's a free kick. Like, it's a. I don't feel like that contest is there as much as it was 5-10 years ago.
No way.
You know, I think the umpires are, like, I've always had a love-hate relationship with the umpires, because I used to get frustrated, give away way too many 50s.
Yeah.
Because I think they're too involved. Like, you look at a grand final or a final series, like, it's a completely different umpire game. Like, it's night and day. I don't care what they say. Oh, we don't. It is a complete different game.
They let it go a bit more, don't they?
And that's the thing. Like, I don't want to, and you boys as supporters don't want to be barking at the umpire because of a free kick. We want to be barking at our teammate for hitting a shit kick. You know, you want to be barking at your supporters because you've done a really good interception. You've gone back with the flight. You've caused a stoppage. You know, you've caused the blokes out there a mark. You've done something incredible, but it all turns into free kicks. So that's where I'm on. I think at the moment, like, the boys are so fit. Like, you look at them, they're like, you know, we had Cooter back in the day, and he was as ripped as ripped. Now, like, they're all like that.
Like that's a standard.
I saw a picture of Bailey Smith, and he's like, mate, like I didn't have that. Like I couldn't get that in a million years. But that's what I mean. Like they are fit as fit as fit,
different game, man.
And it's different. But that's where I'm, you know, grown up watching the old school. You know, like I said, I don't like the sling tackles. I don't like, you know, the bumps in the head. But you understand that it is a contact game. You know, things are going to happen. We can try and protect them as much as possible, but don't babysit the game. We don't need to babysit 100%. The game. Just let the contest happen. If you see something that, you know, is bad, call it. But if you the stuff that, you know, is kind of like it could have gone 50-50 either way, that's where I'm a bit like
100%. And now if you just quickly look, they had this 50-meter penalty they're giving for just if you look at the umpire wrong now.
I'd be out. I would have quit. No, but like
we all think this is crazy.
But I understand, like, you know, I think where it's coming from is a really, really good spot. Don't get me wrong.
I understand.
But what they have to understand is this is when we were playing. That's your job. That's your life and death. You know, you get frustrated. You give away a free kick, even if it's you think you've done right or you've done wrong. You get frustrated. It's no different to being at work, like, or at home, you're doing something and you get frustrated. You just go, you know, like you throw something. You know, like it's a human nature. If you don't like, as I was going back, when I was really angry, the way I used to be able to go away and like reset myself is I would go to the bench, I'd take myself to the bench, like get a water bottle and squeeze the absolute Jesus out of it, because, you know, that was my way of releasing my frustration, you know, where other blokes is just like, oh, come on, like, and, you know, and I understand because they're probably, like, I don't know the fact, but, like, you know, they want people to get involved in the umpiring, which I 100% agree. We need the umpires.
They keep saying that they're lacking in
but I also think there has, you know, you're giving no lenience for the competitiveness of a football game 100%. And the competitiveness of those players. Like, I know, like, you look at Eddie Betts, for example. Did he come from much? No, at all. So that has changed his life 100%. Completely. So that, you know, like, this is what, like, I feel like they don't understand it. It's a life-changing experience. So they put 100% into it, you know. And I think that's where they've got to be a little, like, don't get me wrong, if you be demonstrative to the umpire and, you know, you point in that, 100% give him a free kick. But if someone goes off, you give away a free kick, I think that's ruining. I think that's ruining the game, and and if you want to do that, instead of making it a 50-meter penalty, make it a 20-meter penalty. So it's not, you know, you do one of them.
Harsh, man.
50, like, 50 is pretty much a quarter of a ground. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you give away 2 50s, 3, it can change the game.
100%.
For over frustration, you know, which is, but that's where I'm a bit like, like, let's just put it in perspective. You know, don't want to be demonstrative to the umpires at all. You know, we used to be too far with it. I'll put my hand up and say that. But
now they've gone too far.
Now they've gone too far the other way. Like, I
reckon it will balance out eventually. Like,
it's like anything though. They bring a new rule in at the first three rounds. They're all over it, and then the umpire. It's like finding a game plan. Then they find the balance. You know, like, you know, and I think there's, you know, not interaction with the players and that, but it's like, mate, like, you're pushing the line here. And then players will be like, no worries. Like, that's...
Because as players, if the umpire talks to you and goes, listen, mate, just take it easy, mate. 100%. You kind of pull your head into it, don't you?
You know, Ray Chamberlain's, like, good at it because, you know, he, like, you know, he'll... And then Matty Stephanie, Matty. They were good because they'd just look at you and say... And you'd be like, all right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like when your mum... and you don't want to penalise your son. You don't want to, you know, penalise yourself. So, you know, you look at... You know, there's... I feel like they could be a bit more, you know... transparent as well. Like, you know, just... You know, I suppose only the captain's supposed to talk to him. But, like, if you get that communication, go, mate, like, you're pushing it. Like, you do it again, like, you're 50. Like, all right. Like, you know, where if you give it 50 straight away, you're like... You get angry. Like, you get angry at the umpire.
Yeah, so, 100%, man. Yeah. No, that's good, man. Mate, I appreciate this. It's been a grouse talk, man.
No worries, mate.
It's been a grouse talk, man. And thanks for joining
the
Jumper Punch.
Well, couldn't get the old boy, so I'll step in for him, mate.
No, man, you represent the Waite family very, very well.
No,
so
cheers.
you and Vinny, we thank you very much.
No worries, mate. Excellent. Thanks, mate.
And go Blues.
Go Blues.
That's it.
Go the Blues.